Wow, you really weren't kidding about this whole deep dive thing
Yeah,
into AI, huh?
that's right.
We've got a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
You've given me articles and research papers and even like social media threads
Yeah.
to go through.
Yeah, it's out there.
It seems like you're really trying to get to the bottom of what AI really means, like for us, for
Yeah.
humans, for society, beyond all the hype and everything.
I think it's the question on everybody's mind right now.
Yeah.
What's so interesting, though, is just how fast it's all happening. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't that long ago
Right.
that AI felt like something out of science fiction,
Yeah.
like totally futuristic. And now
Yeah.
it's like everywhere you look.
It really is everywhere you look. And you've highlighted some big developments, even mentioning GPT-5 in your notes. For our listeners who might not be as familiar, can you explain what that is and why it's significant?
Yeah. So GPT-5 is basically the next generation
Okay.
of these large language models.
Okay.
And, these models are trained on this massive amount of data.
Right.
And they're designed to understand and generate human-like text.
Okay.
And what's so fascinating is that even the people who build these models,
Right.
like the researchers at OpenAI,
Yeah.
don't even fully understand
Probably like
how they work internally.
it's like the black box problem.
Yeah, that's exactly
That former OpenAI safety researcher.
right. Yeah,
What's his name? William Saunders.
Yeah.
He said that.
he was on the Big Technology podcast.
Oh, was he? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and said that some people at OpenAI think that we're only like 3 years away from something dangerous.
So that lack of understanding, even from the people who are creating it, must be incredibly unnerving for them.
It really is.
Mm.
I mean, it's like we've created these incredibly powerful tools, but we don't even have a complete instruction manual for them.
Right.
You know?
So how do we even ensure that we're using them responsibly if we don't fully understand them?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit like trying to steer a ship in the right direction
Yeah.
without really knowing how the engine works.
Yeah.
It requires careful navigation,
Right.
constant monitoring, and a healthy dose of caution.
Yeah, and it seems like it's already exceeding expectations in some areas, like, with that medical AI Dr. Oracle, it's achieving a 97.5% accuracy rate.
Yeah, that's even better than GPT-4, which is pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
It really highlights the potential of AI to completely revolutionize fields like healthcare.
You think that doctors would be eager to embrace a tool that could help them
You'd think so, right?
diagnose patients more accurately?
Yeah, you would think.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, there's this really interesting study
Okay.
that shows it's not always that simple.
Okay.
It found that doctors, when they were given the choice, often disregard GPT-4's accurate diagnosis.
Why is that? That seems so counterintuitive.
It really does. It kind of speaks to the complexities of integrating AI into these established fields.
Okay.
There's this human element
Right.
to consider too, like
So
trust,
intuition.
yeah, years of experience
Oh,
that
yeah.
don't always align with what the AI might be suggesting.
Right.
So it's not just about the technology itself,
Right.
but also how we adapt to its presence.
Yeah, it's like that new LA restaurant that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah,
Where they're using those robot wokes
that's right.
to make food, and it's supposed to be
Delicious.
delicious and
Yeah.
really inexpensive.
And people seem to be pretty thrilled with the results.
Yeah, but it does make you wonder about what the role of like a human chef
Right.
is going
Yeah.
forward.
Well, and that's a great example of how AI is making its way into all sorts of industries, not just restaurants.
Right.
You mentioned how Morgan Stanley is incorporating an OpenAI assistant
Yeah.
for their wealth advisors.
So AI is coming for the chefs and the bankers.
Right.
Should we all be updating our resumes right now?
Well, Gartner, which is a research and consulting firm,
Okay.
predicts that something like 80% of the engineering workforce is going to need upskilling.
80%?
80%. Yeah.
Wow.
Due to AI by 2027.
That's incredible.
So it's happening quickly.
Yeah.
And the job market is definitely evolving rapidly.
That's both exciting and a little bit daunting, isn't it?
Very much so.
Like it's creating all these new possibilities,
Yeah.
but it's also disrupting industries that have been around for
Centuries.
centuries. I
Yeah.
mean, wow.
It's a fascinating time to be alive.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a time of like big change for everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily about robots like totally replacing humans.
Right.
It's more about figuring out how we can work with these increasingly sophisticated tools.
Right, like using AI to find a job, like that job hunting app that you told me about.
Oh, yeah.
Swipe?
Swipe, yeah.
You just swipe right on jobs and then the AI does everything else for you.
Exactly.
What could be easy?
Right. It's a perfect example of AI actually like enhancing our capabilities
Right.
instead of replacing them.
Right.
And it's not just happening with job hunting.
Okay.
There's this new open source tool called PaperQA
Okay.
that's designed to help researchers
Okay.
synthesize like huge amounts of scientific knowledge.
So AI is playing matchmaker for job seekers and research assistant for scientists.
It seems like that, yeah.
What's next?
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
The possibilities really do seem endless.
Yeah.
But it's important, with any new technology, I think,
Right.
to approach these advancements with a critical eye and not just get caught up in all the excitement.
Yeah. Speaking of which, remember all that hype
Right.
around that AI model, Reflection 70B?
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be like
Yeah, it was going to be amazing.
way better than those big, huge models.
Right.
And then it turned out to be a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, it kind of reminds us that we shouldn't just blindly accept everything that's labeled as AI.
Right.
We need to be discerning, ask questions,
Right.
and evaluate the actual capabilities.
Right. Not the marketing buzz.
Exactly.
Right. So a healthy dose of skepticism is needed
For sure.
with AI,
Oh, absolutely.
especially with something
Especially with something.
that's so powerful
Yeah.
and potentially transformative.
We need to be mindful of its limitations, for sure,
Right.
as well as all the potential benefits.
Yeah, it's like those doctors who didn't want to trust GPT-4's diagnosis,
Right.
even though it was accurate. It was
Well-
like we're almost hardwired to
I think so.
trust our own judgment,
Yeah.
even when we're presented with all this evidence to the contrary.
I think that's a natural human instinct.
Right,
We're used to relying on our own expertise,
right,
our intuition.
right. And I guess this kind of highlights the question of, as AI gets even more sophisticated,
Right.
are we even going to be ready to trust its insights
Yeah.
when they challenge our perceptions of things?
That's a really good question. And it's something that we see coming up again and again.
Yeah.
This discomfort
Yeah.
that people have with relinquishing control.
Yeah.
We like to be the ones making the decisions.
Right. We want to be the ones with all the answers.
Right, exactly. And as AI evolves, we might need to kind of reevaluate our roles a little bit.
Yeah.
Embrace a more collaborative approach.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like finding that balance
Right.
between human ingenuity
Exactly.
and what AI can do.
That's it.
And it really makes you think, if we're seeing this much impact already
I know, it's
in
incredible.
healthcare and finance, what's next?
Well, one area where we're seeing a ton of development is in the creative fields.
Okay.
You've probably heard of AI composing music,
Oh, sure.
writing poetry,
Yeah.
even generating like really realistic audio.
Yeah. Isn't there a platform called Fish Audio
Yes, that's right.
that uses AI for text-to-speech
Exactly.
and voice cloning?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the results are pretty amazing.
They are amazing, but they're also a little unsettling.
They are a bit, yeah.
Like, where do we even draw that line
Right.
between human creativity and AI-generated content?
Well, that's a great question. And it's a debate that's only going to get more intense
Sure.
as this technology gets even better.
Yeah.
But I think it also speaks to the adaptability of human creativity.
Okay.
AI might not replace artists and musicians,
Right.
but it could give them totally new tools
Right.
and new inspiration.
So maybe it's not AI versus humans. It's how we can use AI
Exactly.
to work together.
It's about embracing those possibilities
Okay.
while keeping in mind some of those challenges.
Yeah. And speaking of challenges, you mentioned that AI's impact on democracy
Oh, yeah.
and society is something we should really be paying attention to.
We should.
I mean, it's one thing if AI is helping us, find a job or write a research paper,
Right.
but what happens when it starts influencing elections
Right.
or shaping public opinion?
Well, it's a valid concern, and it's honestly something that's already happening in a lot of ways.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, think about deepfakes.
Oh, right,
AI-generated propaganda.
right.
That's all AI, and it can definitely be used to manipulate people.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah, and that's why things like the US AI Safety Institute are so important.
They're the ones who are focused on establishing ethical guidelines
Exactly.
and regulations for AI.
Exactly. They're trying to make sure that AI development
Okay.
is aligned with democratic values.
Okay.
Things like transparency,
Accountability.
accountability, yeah, and responsible innovation.
So it's not even just about the technology itself. It's about how we use it.
It is.
And I guess that's a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility.
That's on us. Do you think we're up to it?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is a big one.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think that if we can foster a sense of awareness,
Okay.
promote critical thinking.
Engage in open and honest conversations.
Exactly. All those things will help us navigate this new frontier responsibly.
It's like you said, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more we understand AI, the better off we'll be.
Right.
But just understanding it isn't enough, is it?
No, it's not.
We have to be proactive in actually shaping how it's used.
Absolutely. We need to be involved in shaping the future of AI.
And that makes me think about something else you mentioned,
Yeah.
our digital literacy. Like, we wouldn't just hand a chainsaw to a toddler.
Right.
We got to equip ourselves with
Right.
the knowledge and the skills
I do.
to deal with this new technology.
Totally.
Especially since it's so complicated and confusing
Exactly.
and always changing
It is.
and getting more complicated by the minute.
Yeah. It really is like, how do we even know
Right.
if something's written by a person?
Right. Like, is this article I'm reading
Right.
written by a human or by AI?
Right. And that's something that researchers are really struggling with right now.
Really?
Yeah. They're trying to develop tools that can detect AI content.
Okay.
But it's tough because as AI gets better,
Right.
it's going to be harder and harder to tell.
So it's like a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, in a way.
So what do we do?
Well, ultimately, I think it comes down to critical thinking.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, questioning our assumptions,
Okay.
seeking out different perspectives, being open to changing our minds.
So basically, don't believe everything you read,
Right.
like they used to say about the internet.
Exactly. And it's not just about what we read anymore either.
What else?
It's the images we see, the videos we watch.
Oh, right. The deep fakes?
Exactly.
Those are so realistic.
I know it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real.
So how do we even keep up?
It's a good question, and I know it can feel overwhelming,
Yeah.
but I think the answer is pretty straightforward.
What's that?
Education
Okay.
and engagement.
Like, we have to stay informed
Exactly.
about what's going on
With
with
it.
AI and everything.
We can't just sit back and watch it happen.
We have to be a part of it.
Yes.
Wow.
We all have a role to play.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It is.
Like, we're not just watching the future,
Yeah.
we're actually shaping it.
We are writing the future right now.
That's both exciting and a little scary.
I agree.
All right, well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
We've only just scratched the surface, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember,
What's that?
the future of AI
Yes.
is in our hands.
That's right.